this ever gonna end?
It'll end if you can catch them.
What's really going on? Don't I deserve the courtesy of knowing what it is I'm fighting for?
And cut! Good.
That's great.
Oh, I love it. Yes, monster movie, monster movie, monster movie, monster movie, yes!
The end of it is like...
Ghost Rider!
My father's strengths and none of his weaknesses. The new hell is in San Venganza. I need the document. I know it's here. Now, give it to me.
You know, I don't have time for this, Johnny. I have a story to edit.
There are no accidents. I mean, you could have said no. When they asked you to interview me, you could have said no.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm saying that means something.
Oh, we are in the middle of a freeway.
Well, it doesn't have to be here. Let's get some dinner. You still like ribs? What happened?
Black card.
I saw Roxanne. I need the contract. I can't end this without it.
They've already got her.
I got her into this. I got to get her out of it. Where'd Slade put it? Oh, I do love this bike. Why are you here? Oh, Johnny. I'm always here. All along.
Stop at a fire! Arm reaches out and riddled with bullets.
No!
And wall of flame. Gets on his bike and he rides off. The wall does.
Cut. And hit. And cut. Set. And action.
Throw me the gun!
It's all out.
Throw it!
Cut. Very good.
Look at that, the head went up. Wait a minute.
Is that the swimmer?
So, where will you go now?
Wherever the road takes me.
Just when I think you can't make it any harder for us.
My daddy once said, if you don't make a choice, then the choice makes you.
Yeah. Why do your choices always have to keep us apart?
Stand by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing.
I know you're here.
Cut. That was perfect.
But it no longer exists.
It does exist. And we will find it.
You come to start the war.
No. I've come to win the war.
And cut.
Who's there?
Cutting there.
You are the rider. Better get used to it, kid. It'll be a lot easier. You done, I got a nice cozy spot picked out for you.
And cut.
You can't come in here. This is private property.
There was a cemetery here.
Yeah, a long time ago.
What happened to the graves?
They moved them.
Where?
I don't know.
Who would?
St. Michael's Church. They're in charge of the whole thing. Look, you really shouldn't be here.
Looking for someone?
Violator!
We're not gonna have any meaningful dialogue, are we?
Back to hell!
I didn't think so.
And cut. Very nice.
You look like that Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to stick around?
Nope.
It hasn't started yet.
No.
I'll buy you a donut.
Uh-uh.
Come on, Roxy, it's Johnny Blaze.
Don't remind me. Can we please just go?
And cut.
Thank God you listened to me. Took the cars out, all right. Made sense. That would have been suicide. Now, if you come up short, see this way, what you're going to do is you're going to land on some nice, soft, green grass.
I took out the cars.
What if I were able to help your dad?
Yeah? How?
Oh, how's not important. What if I were able to make him better?
I think it's definitely one of the most unique mythologies in the comic book universe. Complicated character who makes a decision to sell his soul to the dark side, to the devil. But he does it out of love. He doesn't do it out of greed or personal ambition. He's trying to save his father's life. And to me, that's really rich material to play with. He's also just, in my opinion, the coolest looking of all the superheroes. I mean, you don't get any cooler than a motorcycle stunt cyclist dressed head to toe in black leather with a flaming skull for a head. It's a great, iconic visual image. Johnny Blaze is he's a young man who is in a stunt cycling show with his father, Barton Blaze, and they work together as a team, hoops of fire, jumps, things like that. His father has a problem with cigarettes, and it's killing him. And his son, Johnny, knows this, and it's breaking his heart. And he's also in love with a young lady named Roxanne. And Roxanne's father doesn't want them to be together, and so there's that going on at the same time his dad's dying, so he really doesn't have any choice when this strange man comes to visit him and makes a deal with him other than to take it. And the deal turns out to be far worse than he really imagined. Mephistopheles, Peter Fonda, who's a lot of fun to work with and is terrific to watch, is coming to get payment on the deal. And he's waited a while and has watched Johnny's career blossom, knows that Johnny Blaze is the best writer in the world, and he needs that for him to become the Devil's Bounty Hunter. Well, the main thing about Ghost Rider is he's a force. He's not like a person at all. He's more like a inexorable force, like a hurricane or something that comes at you if you've done anything against the innocent. He's a spirit of vengeance, if you will, and his abilities are that he uses the chain that he has, or the power of hellfire. But the most devastating thing that he does is the penance stare, where he can look at you, and if you whatever you've done wrong, he'll make you relive it a million times. And whatever pain you've inflicted on your victims, he will give you that pain back 1,000 times over. It's a fantastic character, and I've always thought it was the best superhero character to translate to cinema because of the iconography of it and the look of it. But there aren't a lot of people that really, in the wide scope of things, know Ghost Rider. So for me, it was an opportunity to introduce people all over the world to this character. And one of the things about him in this movie is he is very much a cowboy. He is from the old, because there originally was the old Ghost Rider, the old West Ghost Rider, who had a horse and a hat, and he would cover his face. But it wasn't until the 70s that we have the Johnny Blaze version on the mechanical horse, on the bike with the skull. So with this movie, we tried to bring them both into the story. This is like a long lineage of mythology going all the way to the early Ghost Rider.
I sat down with Mark, and I really he's such a great person and such a great writer and director that and he's so passionate about it that I thought this is going to be really cool. And then obviously just been wanting to work with Nicholas for a long time, and everything just kind of came together. It just all felt right. So it was really a combination of a lot, not just one thing got me excited. The whole idea of it got me really excited. I have a lot of shock and awe faces in this one, you know, but yeah, it's, you know, it didn't deter her. If anything, it excited her, because you know, us girls, or some of us, really like that whole bad boy thing. So he's like the ultimate bad boy. I mean, his head's on fire. He works for the devil. It's pretty bad. Nicholas is just, he's really bringing some humor to this, and that's what, I love that, because that is so human, you know, and nothing's ever too dark for a joke, you know, there's no such thing, and he lives by that, and just to see him, you know, in the choices that he makes when he's in a scene, he's out there, and I so respond to that. I think it's really cool. He's fearless, and most of it is just really, it ends up being really funny and really human. I play Roxanne Simpson, and I play a TV reporter, like a field reporter. And it's actually kind of a sad story, because when we first see her, she's about 16 years old and completely in love with Johnny Blaze.
We'll say that we both discussed how no one had ever really played the son of the devil, and we saw it as an opportunity to really try different things. Peter's been great to work with. Peter's really interesting because he always has stories, never short of a laugh, you know, and he loves to play around behind the camera and try to mess with you, and I enjoy that, I should say. I have wanted to work with Nick Cage for a long time. We came close on a couple of projects, one he was directing. When I heard he was doing this, it along with Mark directing it, it made it pretty much a shoo-in, and to play an evil guy.
Nick's a lot of fun to work with. He's very on target. He plays his roles extraordinarily well. I like his stuff. The comic book is the storyboard to a degree. Mark has to extrapolate from what he needs out of the comic books to make this particular story come together and work. And so he does, and I think he's done a remarkable job. He's showing me some of the special effects stuff, and they're great. They're just fabulous.
Actually talked to Nicholas about that yesterday. We were over there working, and he said, you know, I told him I thought he ought to do a Western someday. He looked me right in the eye. He said, this is my Western, you know, and as it is, you know, it's pretty cool. I've loved being here, and I happen to think that Johnny Blaze is going to be high on the list of Nick's portrayals. You know, and there's been a lot of good ones out there. And he you know, those blue eyes, and you know, that black shock of hair, and the white teeth, and the black leather, and the chrome Harley, man. I mean, how can you miss? Particularly when he got that core that he carries with him. It's a powerful visage. I think I enjoyed it primarily because it was an opportunity to watch Wes Bentley work. You know, it's just another thing that makes this picture what it is. And you know, he's a dynamic, powerful actor, and man, he's got the goods, and they're just pouring out of those eyes of his, which is where it ought to be coming from that character, I think.
Johnny is, you know, in the weird position of being known as the world's greatest stunt rider, but part of that is because he does these incredible risky jumps, because every time he crashes, he gets up and walks away. His best friend Mac, played by Donald Logan in the movie, says, looks like you have an angel on your shoulder. And Johnny says, I think it's something else. And we know what he means. That someone's watching out for him, and it's not anybody from up there. It's somebody waiting for him. One day he's going to use him, so he's keeping him safe. So each time he crashes in a weird way, you know, Johnny Blaze will wake up and think, I'm okay, and he'll be like, oh, damn, I'm okay. You know, it's more proof that there is a curse. It's more proof that he really is being protected by the devil. The hell cycle is how the Ghost Rider gets around. What it is just like Johnny Blaze turns into the Ghost Rider, his motorcycle, which used to be his father's old chopper named Grace, turns into the Hell Cycle. It transforms just like he does. And what it is, it's really quite a piece of art. It's something that we worked on for a long time, and it's different from the Hell Cycle in the comic book. It's I think got a lot more style to it, and it's a lot more interesting. It's a little bit Geiger-esque. It's got that kind of style in a way. It's between machine and animal. It's got bone structure to it and a spine to it. It's definitely a motorcycle, but it's got a lot of personality, and it's really impressive. There's something about Sam that when people see him, they smile. You know, everyone knows Sam, and everyone loves Sam. Everyone from my kids to my parents to my grandparents, everyone knows who he is. There's something honest and recognizable about him. And he's been around for a long time, and he's played a lot of great parts, and he's a great actor. But he's also just American. He's Americana, you know. And when you see Sam Elliott, you want to see him in a cowboy hat. You want to see him in a duster. You want to see him save the day, you know. And he's fantastic in the film, and he really is kind of the backbone of it in a way. I would say Ghost Rider is first and foremost a love story. It's about what would you do for love. Would you ride through hell for love? Yes. Would you sell your soul for love? Yes. And once you start from there, I think everything else is gravy. You know, I think it's a story about a boy who sells his soul to the devil to save his father from cancer, and in turn is turned into the devil's bounty hunter, and how he's able to find a way to take that curse and turn it into something positive, to use it to fight against evil.
He made a deal, but he made a deal because he loved someone very much. And he then really did the right thing, knowing that he's danger to anybody he cares for. Basically gave up a life at a young age and picked up a profession that put him in danger every night. The character is unique. The powers are the kind of stuff never been done before. It has probably some of the most clever powers in the Marvel Universe. My personal favorite is a penance stare. Don't do unto others what you don't want done to you. You will find within the movie frames that are directly out of a book. And this is tip your head to the art, the homage to what was there in a way that if we can capture a little bit of the pedigree and the history and what made this book survive the test of time, in different reincarnations, you want to see it, you want to take advantage of it.
He's back with Roxanne and everything's perfect, and he's about to go out and have dinner and reconnect with her, but who should show up at that key moment but the stranger, Mephistopheles, who says, this was not a dream, and this is not a contract that is easily broken. You owe me, and I'm calling it in. And so suddenly, Johnny's back in that, a much more complex, dramatic conflict than when he was as a kid, but suddenly there he is again. He got close to somebody, and the devil came a-calling. It's really fun to watch Nick Cage work, not only on this movie, but when you watch his entire career. He's a leading man, he's dramatic, he's funny, he's off-center, he'll try things, he's not afraid. Those are all qualities that make him a great actor, and they fit really nicely into this character. In fact, sitting around on the set talking to Nick in between takes, he feels this is as close to Nick Cage as he's ever played, because Nick's, you know, he's out there, he's funny, he's you know, he's not straight down the middle, which is what has made him a star for all these years. Ghost Rider is there to do the devil's bidding on Earth. Throughout the story, Ghost Rider, Johnny's presence in Ghost Rider gets stronger. He learns to be able to control what Ghost Rider's powers are incrementally. And ultimately, he can sort of, there's moments where you can sort of see Johnny in the Ghost Rider, and that's the evolution of the character, which will allow him at the end of the movie to do what he needs to do. But the initial appearance of Ghost Rider is pure spirit of vengeance and the devil's bounty hunter.
I was a huge comic book fan from the time I was about in 3rd grade. I read comics every week. I got Ghost Rider, I got Daredevil, I got Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, all the usuals. Ghost Rider I thought was always, it was one of the darker ones that I read, but it was also one of the more visually interesting.
Like many of our comic books, I think Ghost Rider is even more than most, had different histories and different lives.
I always thought it was the coolest character, you know, that they didn't, and sometimes I think they didn't quite know what to do with him because he was such a strong visual. He's really succeeded over the years just because the visuals are so strong. There's some great stories too, don't get me wrong, but he's really one of the most memorable looking characters in all the Marvel Universe.
Hi, welcome to Melbourne, Australia, where we're shooting Ghost Rider. Let's go onto the set and I'll show you what's going on. We're here in a cemetery, actually the Melbourne Cemetery, which is one of the largest in the world. And if you see out here, it's an unbelievable set that we didn't have to build most of. Right over here is the active set where we're lighting, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful environment. People aren't going to be able to believe that we didn't build it, but it's just, it was there and it's for the taking, so we took it.
X-ray Alpha, take 3, camera B.
Action! Carter Slade.
Legend has it he was a Texas Ranger, man of honor. But he got greedy, down himself, waiting on the gallows.
Actually, this movie has a unique history. Many, many years ago, it was always the iconic image of the Ghost Rider and the idea, the literature, the great story of the Devil and Daniel Webster. It's always very attractive and attracted interesting people actually to the project. It had its own angel watching over it, so it wouldn't get done in the wrong place, in the wrong way. And the people that are involved, this team that we are together, it was almost preordained in a weird way. You start with Mike DeLuca, who just came on as a producer. When Michael graduated NYU Film School, he wrote the script, and it was the Ghost Rider.
It was just a happy coincidence that when I got to Columbia, the project was already here, and Mark Steven Johnson was already on it, and there was an opportunity for me to come aboard and help them produce it.
First we were looking at the comic book, and then we were looking about sort of paring it down to the simplest version that we could tell a story around that wouldn't totally hamstring us. Because if, you know, there's a lot of canon in the books, and if you try to use all of it, it cripples you. So we just started finding the stuff that we connected to. We loved Johnny Blaze. We loved that he made a deal.
Once we came up with the idea of the Devil's Bounty Hunter, it really all made sense to me. You know, because in the comic, the devil gave Johnny these powers, and then Johnny used those powers to fight evil, and it never really made sense. But once I came up with the idea that, you know, once in a while things get out of hell that don't belong here, the devil has to call upon the Ghost Rider to bring them back. He works as a tracker, a bounty hunter, and that's why the devil gives him those powers.
You all right? Yeah, I'm good. I feel like my skull's on fire, but I'm good. Thanks for the water. Have you seen my bike? Did I say something funny?
Ironic. It's pretty incredible, actually, working with Nick. I was a fan long before I had this opportunity, and you know, I mean, back from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you know, I mean, early on. And I can only tell you, after my 2-week stint here, it was an unbelievable experience working with him.
Who are you?
Who are you? You are the writer. Get used to it, kid. Be a lot easier.
Nick has been close to doing a number of comic book movies, most memorably Superman, which is very close to going.
And cut! Terrific. Print that. Awesome.
And I know he was close to Constantine, and he had flirted with a few other things. But when I met with him on this, he said this was always the one. This is always the one that he wanted to do.
I'm good. I feel like my skull's on fire, but I'm good. Thanks for the
Nick Cage, to him, this is literature. To us, it's literature. So we felt, first Nick was, that was a given, because that was a long journey waiting for this movie. What am I talking about? It's probably 10 years of talking about it.
When you meet Nick and you see the clothes he wears, he dresses like Johnny Blaze. He has said to me before, this character is as close to anything he's ever played to himself. And it's true. It's like when we were, costume fitting him, I kept saying, look at Nick's clothes. Because not a lot of people can carry off the leather jackets or leather pants or some of the things that Nick wears.
You don't get any cooler than a motorcycle stunt cyclist dressed head to toe in black leather with a flaming skull for a head. It's a great, iconic visual image. And it struck me that way when I was a boy. I remember having the first issue of Ghost Rider and looking at it and wondering what this was all about and how complicated and alternately frightening and exciting at the same time, and thinking that scary looking image is actually a hero. And I would play on my bike, and I guess I set the postulate when I was 8 that I was Ghost Rider.
I took the contract and hightailed it out of there. You stole it.
Can I say something about this? Hightailed it out of there, I think it's as bad as fled. Just a long way of saying it. Can we just say left? Took it and left.
I initially had a meeting with Mark. We didn't talk so much about portrayal as we did just kind of what he envisioned this guy as being. On some levels, it came out of baggage that I carry with me in my career. It's baggage that a lot of people have kind of looked askance at over the years. I've had moments of feeling like I was boxed into it a little bit, but on the other hand, I mean, I can draw a line from job to job over a 33-year career that if it weren't for that baggage that I bring to it, I probably wouldn't have worked much. I told you to stick around here.
Is this thing ever going to end?
It'll end if you can catch him.
I really didn't have anybody but Sam that I wanted to play caretaker. There's something about Sam that when people see him, they smile. Everyone knows Sam, and everyone loves Sam. Everyone from my kids to my parents to my grandparents, everyone knows who he is. There's something honest and recognizable about him. And he's been around for a long time, and he's played a lot of great parts, and he's a great actor. But he's also just American. He's Americana, And when you see Sam Elliott, you want to see him in a cowboy hat. You want to see him in a duster. You want to see him save the day, He's fantastic in the film, and he really is kind of the backbone of it in a way.
I have a personal fondness for Sam Elliott. When I was 15, 16 years old, my dad made a film called The Legacy. It starred Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross, and they shot it in London. And my dad brought the whole family over to London, and I was able to work on the film as well as have tutoring to keep up my school. And I worked in the camera department, and I was a 15-year-old kid working on a film, and Sam was just the nicest guy, and he talked to me and asked how things were going and give me advice, and he was a lovely guy. I never forgot it because there were other people on that movie. I mean, Catherine, by the way, was lovely too, but there were other actors. They just kid, I'm not going to deal with this kid. And so now we get to a year ago or so, and we're casting the caretaker role, and Sam's name comes up. Anyway, we ended up casting him, and I remember calling him and saying, I don't know if you remember me. And he goes, I remember, with that great voice. And I said to him when we got together for the first time, I said, it's very rare you get to pay back people for being kind to you. And I said, I get this opportunity now. And he's just the greatest guy. Great actor, iconic, brings soul, and truly just a good man.
Morning, bonehead.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean it. We're trying to go for a supernatural Western, which I thought was a really cool idea and something I'd never seen before. So I tried to take the best I could from like the Sergio Leone films of Japan, of Once Upon a Time in the West or Fistful of Dollars, and then combine that with a Hammer film.
More face if you want. More stretching. More. Oh yeah, I got a B camera on you too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Take 4, camera B.
Sima.
And action.
We both really wanted to embrace the monster movie, creature feature, horror film aspect of it in the best way. And when you see these old werewolf movies, how can you bring that, the scream and the transformation and bring it into modern movies with the fun of it as well?
That's great.
Oh, I love it. Yes, monster movie, monster movie, monster movie, monster movie, yes.
The end of it is right.
Ghost Rider! Ah!
This paint job.
This one here?
Yes. Boy, that's great. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty cool. It is unbelievably cool.
Until you see the hill cycle.
Yeah. Then we upgrade.
I've got 3 motorcycles of my own, 3 Harleys, and I've been riding for years. And in fact, when I'm done with this movie, I go on a motorcycle trip. That's what I always do, is go cross country. So this is the ultimate. This is comic books, rock and roll, Harley Davidson, and monsters. So I'm totally 12 years old now, and this movie, there's no doubt about it. I've regressed amazingly on the film. It is a motorcycle movie, and I think there's a big resurgence over the last couple of years with the American Choppers and the Monster Garages and the Jesse James and all the people that have been doing custom bike work that have now people are really appreciating what a work of art it is and what a part of American culture it is, and this is a chance to really show that off.
Race is actually based upon a classic bike which we all admire. It was Peter Fonda is very much involved with, and we took a classic hardtail Harley Davidson and then ever so slightly customized it to what we needed to do.
That was the bike, and we were going to change it a little bit because obviously it's a bike icon, and to bring it into this film is what we wanted without sort of stealing it directly, so to speak. So we've changed the city bar on it and changed the tank on it, but that's basically all that's changed for Ghost Rider.
From that, when it transitions into the Ghost bike, it's really important that the same flavor, the same ideal was carried along with it.
We had no time, as you do on films, and I had about a week and a half to find a chassis, to work out what motor to put into, what wheels we'd use, because I had to hand it over to the model department so they could start sculpting a clay body and to take the mould from. So we frantically threw this thing together and tested it around the workshop and raced around the workshop and then handed it to the model department, who just threw plasticine at it and started sculpting away.
This is the prototype of the Hell Cycle. It's basically built of a lot of aftermarket chopper, Harley Davidson chopper parts, and it's also got a KTM 525 racing engine in it. Got a little fuel tank because we've got to allow for getting on and off the fiberglass tank, which is going to end up on here. We don't have to do a lot of kilometres on the film set, so we'll just have to keep refilling it. Oh, she's got about 60 odd horsepower. It's all, a lot of magnesium casings and what have you. It's lightweight. We've done that to make up for all the extra weight that's going to go on it with fiberglass and what have you. So it can function as and not get too overweight.
The best thing for me about Mark was how passionate he was about the character and about the whole project, and how much faith he had in it when other people probably wouldn't have that much faith. I mean, if you really think about it, it's something that a lot of people might be afraid of, but he embraced it with everything he had.
Still got one ride left on me.
Action. Let's do this, baby. Cut.
Also the detail. He would create these previs sequences, which is kind of like a digital early animation storyboard, if you will, of what the movie's going to look like. And I knew then that he was going to have some very exciting sequences.
Every time we go into a set in this film, everyone just stops and takes a deep breath. Kirk Petrochelli, our production designer, is fantastic. I wanted to work with him on Daredevil, and we almost did. But when it came to this movie, I knew he was the guy for it. I think he's at his best when he creates worlds. And you got to create a whole world here, a whole look, a whole style that is something unique.
We spoke quite thoroughly about the Old West. It's a Western with a contemporary edge. It's a big thrill for me. It's my first Western, so I get to kind of reinvent it and give it a new voice. And Mark has been the greatest guy to allow me to just go for certain things. And he's got a very specific taste and a very specific need. And he loves the story, and everyone does. It's a passion piece, and it's been great fun.
Angel's only in there, boy. Really? You got a problem with that? As a matter of fact.
Oh, I do. Cut! Very nice.
Cutting that away. 2 bells.
Welcome to Texas. We are in a soundstage here at Dockland Studios. Actually, this is the first time this stage has been used for any movie or television. We're the first tenants here. And this is our broken spoke sequence. The motorbikes you see are all antique Harley Davidsons. We had put the call out for people within the community here to let us use them, and they're very expensive. They're very beautiful bikes. We put dust all over them. Kirk Petrochelli did a gorgeous job building the Broken Spoke Saloon, which we're standing in front of. And we really wanted to do a classic Texas biker bar. So you'll see lots of the detail of Texas, whether it be the skulls or just Lone Star beer, and we tried to make it comfortable and exactly what you would expect. And since this is a supernatural Western, we got our hitching post. You could see that coming out of any, classic Western movie. We got the swinging doors. Excuse me, guys. See, they open. Even better. And this is the saloon, yeah. So we have, like, for example, our bartender. And there was a moment in the opening of this sequence, Blackheart comes in and he takes the drink. And there's our bartender. It's all blue latex, and it was all designed up. Image Creative up in Sydney did all the work. Dave Isley did a great job. And there's Russell Boyd working. We're doing a shot right now where there's a waitress that's hiding behind the bar, and she looks through a crack to see what's going on, and she hopes that she's going to make it out of here alive. And finally, we come out the back, and whether he likes it or not, Mark's going to have to go on camera. And there's our director, Mark Steven Johnson. You have anything you want to say, Mark? No? And Kevin Mack, our visual effects supervisor. And then this is the sand. Now there's a story about the sand. The sand was trucked in all the way from Central Australia because it's traditional red dirt. Couldn't be dirt from Melbourne, but it had to be dirt from Central Australia. So this whole stage is filled up, and it was trucked in, but it looks great. It almost looks like we're on Mars. Red landscape. That's it for the Broken Spoke.
Creeping out of the hole. You're gonna open it up a little bit more. Yeah, so this is a big camera movie. Yeah, this will be the grand. I'll just make it grandiose.
Wes is someone I've always wanted to work with since I saw American Beauty, like a lot of directors, I think. And Wes is very picky about what he does, and rightfully so. I think he's the best actor of his generation. I really do. And in fact, when I told Sony I was going after Wes to play Blackheart, their instant reaction was, he won't do it, he'll never do it. So, because they know how tough it is to get him to do something. Wes and I sat down for a lunch at a Mexican restaurant in LA, and we just hit it off. And I showed him all my artwork and pitched him the story, and he was really intrigued with it.
And action.
The word The Hidden is from the comic strip. What they are is actually something I invented myself. And it was just part of my own studying up on demonology and the mythology of different kinds of demons.
I understand why you doubt me.
What they are is we're playing with some of the Christian mythology of the idea of the rebel angels and the war in heaven, that Lucifer led the charge to take over heaven and was defeated. And St. Michael cast out Lucifer from heaven. And when he hit the ground so hard that he went through the crust of the earth, and that's why hell is where it is, down below. And I thought that was really great mythology. And I love the idea and the imagery that I've seen of all the angels being cast out of heaven following him into hell, and which made them fallen angels, made them demons. My thoughts were that I read about elemental demons, demons that live within the elements. So what I came up with is that some of those angels that fell got lost along the way. Some fell into the winds and just kept falling until they, got lost. Some fell into the oceans. Some fell into the deserts. And wherever they fell, they took their element upon themselves, and that's where they stayed hiding. Because if God finds them, they're dead. And if the devil finds them, he's taken them down to hell.
And cut. Very nice. Got that. Cutting there. Really good? Yeah, good. Right on.
They were now demons, but they were once angels, so they were once incredibly beautiful. We wanted to retain that beauty, and I think he cast really well. I think we got guys with fabulous faces, fabulous bone structure to work with, and some, very interesting looks.
I haven't done any fantasy films or comic films or anything. This is very new for me. I usually play the good guys. I usually play innocent guys. This is my first, villain. Yeah, it's exciting.
I haven't played a character like this before, no. It's just exciting. I'm like a little boy in a candy store. You know what I mean? Everything's like, oh. Gotta eat it, gotta taste it, gotta experience it.
The worst and probably the most uncomfortable was Wallow. Just constantly slimy. He was like, he must have felt like pond weed, constant slimy hair, slimy face, slimy hands.
Hold that. Roll camera. Set.
Set.
And action.
It's really only been in the last 3 or 4 days that I've kind of got some idea about the character, because it's completely informed by the costume. It's amazing. Like the first time I put it on, I looked in the mirror and kind of like literally went, scared myself. It was, I didn't even think it was me, you know what I mean?
And cut. Great. Thank you. Great, Daniel.
Well, Peter Fonda is another one like, Sam Elliott, who's just an instant icon. Apart from Easy Rider, which immediately links you to this kind of motorcycle culture, he just has a cool factor because, he came of age as a movie star in the kind of counterculture atmosphere of the late 60s and the early 70s, and he carries with him kind of a weight and a rebellious spirit that I think that go with the movie really well.
And he was one of the last people that we cast in the film, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it came from Nick as well. This was a role that we were circling. We hadn't really figured out who we wanted, and I think Nick brought up Peter.
Sure.
Get the camera up, please.
You look great. Stand by for rehearsal.
The idea of getting Captain America from Easy Rider and flip it so that now he is ultimate evil. I thought it was a fun idea, and we've had a blast with it. And in fact, that's what led me to make Johnny's chopper, his father's chopper that he rides in the movie, Nick's motorcycle, actually patterned after the Captain America bike. Except for the paint job, it's an exact replica.
Sound speed. 50, take 1.
And to the point when the devil shows up to see Johnny Blaze again, he gives a little look down and says, "Oh, Johnny, nice bike." And it's a fun little in-joke, for the people for the fans of Easy Rider like myself, and we've had a lot of fun with that throughout.
Stay away from me.
A little late for that. Nice bike.
I knew about the Ghost Rider story, and I had read many of the comics. This all happened very quickly for me. Normally, I have some time to consider the circumstances, but I was driving down from my ranch in Montana to Los Angeles with my Bluetooth in my ear while this was February 11th, negotiating how to get here on the 17th of February. So it's not like I had the script to study for a long time. I just knew I can handle this character. And if Nick thinks I'm good for it, then I can handle it. Nick's a friend, and I know he wouldn't steer me the wrong way.
Find the one known as Blackheart. He is my son. I want him alive.
I have the Harley Davidson Cafe thing, that's my hobby. And when we opened the one in Manhattan, because of Easy Rider, Peter Fonda rode a Harley in the opening. So it's somehow all these dots are connecting in a totally weird way that you say, yep, it all belongs together.
And action! And camera!
It's wild. The motorcycle that I designed and built for Easy Rider, it looked fabulous, but it was a bitch to ride. And it was terrible to ride, especially riding at 25 miles an hour so we could see the background. But you notice nobody ever commented on how fast we were riding in that film. They didn't care. The music was so great and the background was so incredible.
And cut! Oh, that was great.
And cutting.
Johnny Blaze as written was quite different from the Johnny Blaze that ended up in the movie. And I think a much more interesting Johnny Blaze now. The way that I'd written him was a bit more, and I have to say myself, was a bit more stereotypical. He was more of a hard drinker, hard smoker, death wish type of guy. And Nick was, determined to make him more real. And by making him more real, he made him more interesting.
They just, for me, they don't have enough pizzazz. They're not dynamic enough. I think Johnny's always trying to stay calm, whatever he can do to go the other way. He's, ironically, a very good person. He's someone, in his hopes not to fall or succumb to the devil, is doing everything he can. He would never double-cross anybody. He wouldn't lie. He wouldn't do anything that would put that kind of karma out there into the world. He would only try to think good thoughts about people and do the best by people. Because he knows if he slips up one time, he's going to get a phone call from the wrong guy.
Most of us don't chain smoke and drink Jack Daniels out of the bottle. Most of us just don't. And Johnny Blaze, Nick decided, wouldn't drink because he'd have nightmares. So what would he do instead? What is his other, vices? And so Nick thought maybe jelly beans would be a good thing. Or instead of listening to like really hard rock and roll metal, Johnny likes, the Carpenters,
You're stepping on Karen.
That's a psycho. That's great.
I remember he came into my office in Australia and he says, listen to this, and it was the Superstar song. And he goes, I think he'd be listening to that. Johnny Blaze would understand what she's saying. And I said, got it. Everybody agreed. Not easy to get Carpenters to license music. Richard Carpenter is very protective, rightfully so. But literally, I called them. I called Richard. Nick wrote a letter explaining why this was important, so they knew that we weren't going to be using it as a joke. And at the end of the day, Richard Carpenter, supported us, and I think it's a huge plus.
Crowd's a little crazy. Johnny, you don't have to do this. You know that, don't you?
Does this suit fit all right, Mac? Feels a little loose.
This role was written for Donal. We auditioned him for Foggy Nelson, Daredevil, and loved him, but ended up going with Favreau. And Mark never forgot Donal and loved the Tao of Steve.
Right, Davey, we're just up here on the right.
Hi, Amy Page, event publicity. I was wondering if Mr. Blaze had time for a quick interview.
Look, I don't know how long you've been doing your job, man, but Johnny Blaze don't do no interviews, okay? You got that?
So he wrote this role for Donal. We loved having him around. Amazing guy, smart guy, and I think, brought a sense of humor, but was able to play the part grounded. we'd had so many people audition for that part, and they played it like the hick mechanic, so one note. Donald was an actor.
It's really awesome. We worked out a freeway that they're building here, and it's unfinished, and so they let us take it over. So we have the full freeway to ourselves. So we made up all of our construction crew, and we have all of our obstacles, and Johnny's going to ride like Evel Knievel or like, Tony Hawk.
If we had to do this on a regular highway in the city, it would have been an impossibility. They could never have diverted the traffic. We brought cows in yesterday. We did some great shots with the cows reacting to the scene, and it's warm, and it's the end of March, so we're lucky.
Our DP, after Master and Commander, he could have rested or done whatever. He just loved the challenge and the look of it.
I think the thing that attracted me to it was the fact that it was from a comic book, and I'd never, which is giving me a bit of an opportunity to be a bit more expanding on realism, if you like. My work mostly is in more realistic subjects, and this being a comic book gave me a bit more scope.
They wanted me to take a look at the scene to see what I wanted to do with the motorcycle and what the flirtation would be like. And I had just seen the first stunt cyclist, who I think is one of the greatest motorcyclists in the world, Rob, who is Australian, he lives here, do these fantastic acrobatics on the motorcycle that he started doing when he was 3. Him and the machine are cyborgs, they're connected. It would require surgery to separate them. I've never seen anyone do anything like this. When I saw these ballet-like moves, like being up on the front wheel and riding down the highway, or on the back wheel and doing 360 pirouettes, I thought, well, let's put that in the movie. Let's have Johnny flirt with Roxanne with that. Like, have you ever seen that before in a film when a guy's on a bike and he starts flirting with the girl and he's doing wheelies? I mean, that's the coolest guy in the world. I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. In fact, I'll just say I did do it. But that's what I wanted to add to the scene, that kind of excitement. And hopefully I can, with any luck, build a sensation where people will be fascinated with motorcycles again all around the world because of that.
I actually signed on without a script. Mark actually said the words that you're never supposed to believe in this business, but trust me, I'll make it great, and it'll be something you can really do something with, a role you can really enjoy, and And then I was like, oh, geez, I don't know, but yeah, obviously I did, and thankfully I did.
Still like ribs and tater tots?
Eva is got so much energy. She's got so much spirit. And there's something inherently likable about her as an actress and as a person.
Womp. Okay, womp, and then that's it.
I'm not comfortable with womp.
Mark plays music on the set, and in between takes, we would be sitting there with the iPod, and Eva would, bring hers in. Oh, listen to this one, and then people would be singing, and we were big Red Bull drinkers, and it was just fun. And she was a great spirit to have around because she, the guys loved her, all the crew loved her. She was, she's one of the guys you would hang out. She's not too sensitive, which is fun.
This is crazy. You are crazy. I don't have time for this, Johnny. I have to edit my piece.
You could have said no. When they asked you to marry me, interview me, you could have said no.
Let's kind of go back to the beginning.
Cut in there. Yeah, reset.
When they asked you to marry me. Well, you had them ask me That's why I said no.
I am sorry.
You should have asked for yourself.
I never try to think about it as light or dark. I just try to think about the best story to tell. And for me, the subject matter is inherently dark. You know, selling your soul to the devil, and the transformation process, and what the Ghost Rider looks like is all really heavy stuff. But it's also funny to me. So I see a lot of humor coming out of it naturally to balance the darkness. And you need both. I think the best horror movies have a lot of comedy in them. You know, and the best thrillers as well. You need that release, you know, from all the tension.
When they asked you to interview me, you could have said no. You could have said no. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying that means something.
Sorry.
They're all right.
We're on the side.
Nick understood that, by the way, and as we were making this film, completely, in various areas throughout the film, improvised on things because he knew that if it was going down that narrow pipe, it wouldn't be the big blockbuster film that we all wanted to make. He knew there had to be a sense of humor. He knew it couldn't just be relentlessly dark.
You know, the reason they call it the past is because, well, it's past. It's over. It's done.
So he would do scenes, we'd do takes, and he would do it as scripted and all, and then he'd say, give me one or two, let me play. And he'd come up with some lines. We'd all be laughing, or we'd say, wow. A lot of them are in the movie.
There's a restaurant in my hotel, the Plaza, 8 o'clock.
Yes! Yes!
It's fun.
Howdy. Hi. I want to talk to you because I haven't seen you forever. Let's get some dinner. You still like Italian? You still like ribs? You still eat catfish?
Constantly. This is crazy. You are crazy.
Well, sure.
Nothing's ever too dark for a joke. You know, there's no such thing, and he lives by that.
I made it.
Congratulations.
Why are you being so mean to me? Pull over.
Just to see him, you know, in the choices that he makes when he's in a scene, he's out there, and I so respond to that. I think it's really cool.
Bonanza! Comedy boys, pull over.
He's fearless, and most of it is just really, it ends up being really funny and really human.
One more, please. With a bigger reaction to you, and the beat's going backwards now, and it's gonna fade. Ready?
Okay.
Action.
Going backwards now! I'm gonna fade!
And there he goes. God, we didn't say that. I'm going backwards.
First impression of this set is this is my favorite set of the movie so far. This is, what's really cool about this for me is this is the first scene I ever wrote almost 2 years ago. This is the introduction. It was page 1, fade in, Johnny Blaze. Later I added in an origin story with him as a boy, but this was always the beginning of the movie for me. And so to see it is really a trip because it's been a long time coming.
I think the first thing Mark probably impressed on me was that he wanted to keep the camera moving. And I think we've done that. The camera rarely sits still. Luckily enough, we've had, you know, the time and the money to do it. Actually, we've been using Spider Cam, which is a great system where you attach the camera on a mount that is stabilised and you can do incredibly fast tracks. At the showgrounds, we pulled over about 20, 30 huge Mack trucks or some sort of trucks. And that piece of equipment enables us to recreate the move absolutely computer controlled. It can be absolutely perfect every take we do.
That's really cool. Isn't it cool? And then we go overhead for all the pyro. These are all the pyros exploding up there.
Orange County, here we come.
We're going to actually see him make this jump, fly through the air, ultra slow motion as the flames go flying up on the sides of the ramps and so on. We're going to shoot the plates here with all of the trucks and whatnot, but the actual jump will be a computer-generated bike and rider.
There were a handful of folks who've done this over the years, but of course it's a movie and we wanted him to be, you know, topping all of this, going really, really far. And it turns out nobody really wanted to do that stunt, and we kind of needed him to do it several times in a day, and just one of those things that's hard to pull off in front of a camera. So that's the kind of work we like to do, and I think no one will ever know that they didn't do the job.
Isn't that cool? He's right over his face. It's awesome.
The stunt we're actually doing today is when Johnny Blaze comes off his motorbike after he does a 250-foot jump. He doesn't quite make it, comes off the motorbike and a la Evel Knievel style, really, and slides along the concrete and then hits the wall by the spectators.
And we're primarily filming the crash part now, so we're covering it with 7 cameras. And what we want to do is we're shooting it all at high speeds. It's all done on wires. The stunt guys rehearse this for months. It's wires which will be removed later on.
We've rehearsed it so many times, pretty confident in all that sort of stuff. Now it's just getting it all right, finally tuned, and everyone's hard work in the stunt department getting this all set up. It's like you don't want to let the boys down. So after I'll be, chucking them a slab or so, yeah.
You can see that there's a bit of tension around because it's a reasonably difficult stunt, and so we're just taking it bit by bit. We'll probably film it, 3 takes on this, and then we'll follow the rest of the stunt to the wall.
Spin the wheel.
And action! Jimmy, you alright?
Is the back okay?
Good credit really goes to Buckets, Boyd, and Kirk Petrochelli, but it's an interesting place. It's a old train yard, historic train yard. It's run now by a non-profit, mostly volunteer force of labor of guys who find old trains and restore them. And we were looking, originally this was supposed to take place in an alley, and there was a police chase, and we've seen that 1,000 times. And this was a, come on, get in the car, we got something to show you. And we got here and we couldn't believe it.
Roll sound.
See camera marker. Right. And action!
Hey! You can't come in here. This is private property.
The actual look of the hidden, first the coats, the shape of them, were something that came from my love of Westerns, which is all throughout the film. The opening of Once Upon a Time in the West, when you see the bad guys waiting for Charles Bronson to show up at the train station, and the long dusters, and the attitude. And I didn't want them to have, horns and big bat wings and teeth, because I've seen that. I wanted to always play that these were once angels, and that their curse is how horrible they look now, how they've been perverted and corrupted. That was the look that we started with. And then I wanted to make sure that their outfits were part of their element.
I started off trying to find materials, fabrics, materials, whatever, that had never been used before. And I sort of went off on this sort of marine animal tangent and sort of started exploring Southeast Asia and what Southeast Asia had in terms of something new. Wallow was meant to look like he'd come out of a pool of water. And, I think the stingray texture looks like water drops. Gressel comes out of dirt, and I know, it's parrotfish, it's not dirt, but it could be. And Abagor is, his element was wind. And I felt that the texture of the shark skin looked like it had been damaged by, you know, wind and water and all the elements. And then the fur around his neck, you know, has to move so that he looks like he's perpetually in this sort of wind tunnel. It was so difficult getting the skins. It was really, you know, I felt like I was doing a drug deal the whole time because these guys are really shady. You know, it's a very shifty business over there. And, you know, it was literally, you know, suitcases full of money being handed over in hotel rooms in Thailand, you know, to get the stingray skin. So it was like, I was just in way over my head, as usual. And still just thinking a week before these guys were due on set, are these skins ever going to get here? And what the hell are we going to do with them when they get here? For example, Wallow's coat. The whole coat is panelled. The reason it's panelled is because that's all we could do with those skins. Same as Gressel, the parrotfish, because it came in fish scales. Fish skin was like that. So then we had to basically redesign everything when the skins actually got here.
I got 3 of them and I got you over here by yourself. I'd like to keep it in frame.
It's hardcore. It was really hard, very, very hard for the cutting room to cut stingray because you can't cut it. And then when you sew it, you have to use a needle point that has a type of glue that just, you know, leaks down into the needle, and as you sew it, you literally glue it and sew it at the same time. You know, every single thing we did was limited by what you could actually do with the skins.
You really shouldn't be here.
That's what they keep telling me.
And cut, very nice. Let's print that. Let's just get one more. And action. Including Blackheart, his look, his colors are the same from the comic book, of this kind of dark purple, blue.
Looking for someone? Violator.
And the paleness of him, it's kind of like being born, you know, it's almost like a newborn, the look that he has. But you're reminded throughout the film that these are the looks they use to get through our world. This isn't what they really look like. And part of the fun is getting little glimpses of what's really underneath that and what comes out at the end.
The makeup was a long process, maybe I think an hour and a half. I've never done that. I usually don't wear makeup at all. So it was a big change, but luckily the makeup artist is amazing and fun to be around for 2 hours every day.
So it's quite difficult, but you don't get a lot of the guys till a week or, you know, 2 weeks before. So, and a lot of the stuff, you know, you're testing on other people or doing hair colours on hair samples and taking them up to Mark each day and going, is this the right blue or the right, you know, plum shade for Blackheart for his hair? But then of course you don't see it in front of Russell's lighting until the day of the tests. And the first lot of tests we did with Blackheart's hair, Russell put in a lot of blue moonlight. We did the blue and, you know, his hair came out like, whoa, really blue, you know. So it was like we had to sort of pull back on that, and Russell pulled back too, and, until you got something that was believable.
Oh. And cut! This is the Ghost Rider interactive hand. For scenes where the Ghost Rider is actually going to touch people, it's much better for a real object to do that than for the CG object to do it, you know, because you can actually touch it and you can see it affecting the material or the skin or whatever it happens to be touching.
Well, basically I've got a little potentiometer, which is a little variable resistor on each joint of my glove here, and it sends a signal through to a performance control system which ICP have developed, and then each finger is driven by a series of motors, as you can see at the back here. So we have 10 motors. Each finger has 2 points of movement, so the main knuckle and then the second joint there. And then we also have a wrist up and down.
Action!
Eddie is Nick's stunt guy, and you can see he's got these LEDs around his neck. This is green screen neoprene. And what we'll do here is that gives interactive lighting. When these turn on, they'll shine lights around his body. We'll also have some on the wrist. You look down here, you can see him here. And that'll be the clue for the fire to come in. And they'll digitally replace his head with the skull. Everything Eddie does, any motion he makes, the skull will be exactly the same. So it's a really important job.
And 3, 2, 1.
This
the most expensive movie I've ever produced. You can't help but not have nerves, but you also have to be confident with what you're doing.
Okay, so I come up, right? 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 Yep. Right? And then my feet go, right?
Mark has spent a lot of time trying to get this right, and you know, in terms of the comic book genre, it's the second film, it's the sophomore film, it's an important film. He's dedicated almost every ounce of energy and time over the last year and a half to it. He deserves it. It deserves, everybody deserves for this film to work.
I want to kill! Oh no!
Set and spin the turntable and action!
Nick's never afraid to go for it, and that's one of the things I admire most about him, is that so many actors, their vanity comes into it. Oh, how do I look silly? How do I look? Nick never feels that way. He's always willing to just go, and I really admire that, and that's, I think, what's kept him being, I think, one of the most original actors working out there.
I knew that Mark wanted the camera to rotate 360 degrees around Nick during his transformation. So I had the light from above. We couldn't have any lights on the floor, so I thought, oh, when we saw the location, I thought this industrial lighting was really terrific for the scene. So we just added to that, basically, so it enabled us to shoot quickly and in any direction we wanted to without even having to move a light, basically.
What you got, man? I've got a present for you, baby. Mark? Guys? Yes, Kirk? I'd like to introduce you. Wow. That is wild. Wow. Hey, these guys did it.
I think right here is worth the price of admission. I've never seen anything like it. We looked at renderings, we looked at pictures, but when you see it in person, full size, it's awe-inspiring. It's been a long time coming, man. It's unbelievable.
This is the first project we talked about many, many years ago. As you can tell, I'm getting sick from all these late nights.
You know what I love about this?
Cigars.
It's so tough to take an inanimate object and make it alive.
Now we gotta get a black Cartmobile. You saw the bike. Black Cartmobile.
Like a Prius.
Maybe. Like a purple Prius to conserve.
The Hell Cycle is it's really quite a piece of art. It's different from the Hell Cycle in the comic book. It's I think got a lot more style to it, and it's a lot more interesting. It's a little bit Geiger-esque. It's between machine and animal. It's definitely a motorcycle, but it's got a lot of personality, and it's really impressive. Now let's see if we can drive it. That's all that's left. Because I wrote the script, I've already been on it for a year and a half, and then shooting it, you know, prep and post and everything is another year, and then all the visual effects and things coming up after that is another year. So it'll be 3 years of my life, you know, and you're just rolling the dice because I'll never see a Ghost Rider, a finished Ghost Rider for a long, long time. This entire movie hinges on that. You know, so we have scenes in this movie where we'll have a digital Ghost Rider and a digital Hell Cycle going up a digital building, and you know, and you're shooting plates, you know, and that's all you can do at the moment. So there's a lot of waiting and fingernail biting. The movie is very much a fable in that we never mention, you know, the year. We never mention where we are. We say it's Texas, but we just call it the city. It's never mentioned as Dallas or Houston or San Antonio because it's none of those. It's our own look. So many of the superhero movies are set in New York City, or Gotham City. I really strive to make sure that you couldn't put your finger on it, that this could become another world that you get to, have entry into and visit.
Our finale piece for Ghost Rider is San Maganza, which is this forgotten Mexican town. Obviously, originally we said, well, could we go to Mexico and shoot this? And when Mark sort of conceptualized what it looked like, we knew it was a complete build. So we were going to go to Broken Hill in the middle of the outback of Australia to build this town to shoot the finale. We went there, surveyed it, started the planning, and realized that the control of being outside we were going to lose for the final fight sequence. And what became more important is the narrative and the action within that set piece, so we moved it into a huge freezer space. I mean, the largest space that we could find in Melbourne at the time, and built the village there.
Let's go. He got what he wanted.
You go. I gotta get him to the shadows in the church.
I was really excited to meet Fonda. Really excited to meet him. He's Peter Fonda,
What have you done? I told you I wanted him alive.
I really like him a lot. He's really cool. We had an Easy Rider screening, and we saw it with him. And I got to tell you, it's one of my best memories ever. It's just he's amazing, and he's a legend. It's Fonda. It's really cool, and I don't get starstruck much, but this is something that I just felt like he was really doing something different back in the day, and I love him.
I'll be waiting for you, Al Pacino. Got it.
What's wrong, Roxy?
I'm leaving.
What?
My dad's sending me to live with my mom. I'm glad I have a partner with Matt. We're kind of like the new kids on the block. And Eva and Nick have been so cool to us, and it's just nice knowing that you've got these great people that you have to be as their younger selves. It's been really great because everyone's been nice, easy transition.
Tomorrow, noon, we'll meet here. It's my first film role, and here I am playing the younger Nicolas Cage. It's insane. I sat down with him for about 2.5 hours at a dinner one night, and it was great. I mean, he was very cool and easy to talk to, and I mean, he's Nick Cage, but then I found myself just talking to him like a normal person, which is exactly what I wanted it to be, and it is what it is, and he's a superstar, but he was so cool and easy to talk to, and we talked about all kinds of stuff.
You killed him. I cured his cancer. That was the deal.
I think Mark probably did one of the best jobs, as I see, in translating the comic to film, to a script. It's not exactly like the drawings in Ghost Rider, the comic book, but it can't be, and it shouldn't be. We have to elevate ourselves out of what would be essentially for us a storyboard. The thing about cancer is the time that it takes, the toll on the loved ones.
He's grown in his vision. He's grown, I think he's a better writer. He is a better communicator, not only to the crew, but to the actors. You can't help but see that growth, and I think the next time out it'll be even better.
My hope is that the fans of the comic are going to embrace the film, and I think they will. And my even bigger hope is that a lot of people will rediscover Ghost Rider and go back and read the old comics and become new fans of it, and create a whole new generation of new fans, and revitalize the character and give him the attention he deserves.
You met Christian before, didn't you?
I think so.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how are
Good to
you?
see Up in the sweat box.
That's right. How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm working on the the transition and the end piece of the penance stare sequence. And we just did a new. We just did a new transition concept here with with a kind of wall of fire element that ends up sucking into the hole that we're looking through.
Oh, that's cool.
The stone eye.
Yeah, I like that.
And then instead of the one frozen wraith in there, we'd have a bunch of sort of frantic wraiths.
Right. Which
we're starting to see a bit of now.
We're working on those. So we still have the camera shake that you saw last time, but I pulled it out before we, before we get to this point. So there's no camera shake anymore.
Oh, that's great. I love that fire being sucked in.
Cool.
Yeah, gives it a real feeling of being locked in. Yeah. What did you use for that? For this texture? What is this?
That is, I'm literally displacing. I'm doing a displacement gag on this painting. So it turns from a 2D painting into I'm pushing it out in 3 dimensions.
You're telling me about this program.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It uses he's using luminance. You are
So there's
luminance,
no
right?
actual element you're using at all. There's no.
Yeah.
Basically,
and what's great is that it's 2D, and yet he's able to do 3D effects to it. So it's like he's taken a painting and pushed it out in 3D based on the luminance, and yet it doesn't build any geometry or model or anything. It's still just a rendering gag, really.
It really works.
Throw a light on it, and then I'm literally, moving a camera in the virtual world that I've created there through that painting.
It's amazing, isn't it?
See, I told you it was hard.
See, how come he can do all that, but I can't have a squirrel tumble through the air? And you go, what do you mean? What part looks bad? Look what he did.
So this whole...
I have no response for that.
All right, Chris, you ready? So these are tests for possible position and amount.
Just work in
Cool.
progress, but we're starting to get the shooting water stuff. And
that's awesome.
It's almost there. It's a little too much. It lasts a little long, but a little thick.
Yeah, but it's going to be great.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. God, what a big difference that makes.
It'll all be on fire and reflecting the fire, and
it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be really awesome.
That's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Next, please.
A little more.
That's cool. Yeah.
Very neat, huh?
So it keeps the respeed you guys have built in there.
Kevin, can Abigor? Last time we talked, I was saying he could take him all the way into the car and then fly off. Right now, it looks like he's drilling him, which is great. It's like a tackle. Then he lets him go.
Yeah.
It's almost gentle. If he stayed with him, he's drilling him into the windshield. See, when he starts to duck his head, I thought you were gonna go and then take off. I think it'd feel a lot more violent.
Marco's here, Kevin, if you want to find
Okay. This is our flame and fire sweat. I think there's a couple of these. We're taking 1 or 2 of them out.
A few too many?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple that fall a little slow at the end. I thought 1 would be okay. We're going to take 1 out. And then I keep pushing to have them be a little smaller in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's competing with his head. It's so big. And take 1 or 2 out, and then I think you'll be there though.
Very good.
Cool.
Good.
Yep.
So now some Wraith stuff. This next one has the latest Wraith smoke and some textures on them. Seeing how you feel about that?
Lighting isn't right yet on the wraiths. They're warm on this side when they should be cool. But they've got their shaders now.
It's really good smoke. Yeah, it's getting great. Is it still a little too heavy? Is my question.
The smoke?
Yeah. Is it still too much of a dust storm? You know, the wraiths are so beautiful, and we're missing him. As he's coming towards us, we don't see him to the very end. And I'd rather look at the race texture and stuff than just be lost in a sandstorm, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So how about these?
Oh, I like those 2 guys. It's like my kids. Jack and Charlie. Yeah, it's like a kids fighting.
Like anybody with brothers or kids is just gonna go, yeah. And so now we got this guy coming up at the end here, and instead of just crying into his lapel like that, he would turn to smoke and be sucked into his
Okay.
eyes and nose and mouth.
Yeah,
right?
he's just looking to be held right now.
Yeah.
I wish I could quit you.
But you're okay with the guys fighting?
Yeah,
and
the
flying
guys
around?
fighting are great.
Cool.
Jeff back there.
Okay, next please. So this is just a rough timing test for when he turns back.
The in-between frames are really creepy.
So obviously there'd still be fire at the beginning, but it's sort of like as it clears. Is this working for you guys in terms of like how long it is? Or?
Could be a little longer. I think it needs to be longer.
Mm-hmm.
I always envision the hand going through the fire and the flames parting and spreading back to reveal Nick's face. I think that's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. And it'd be better for the transition rather than a morph like this. It's almost like you just want a rippling, soft wipe from the hand outward, right?
Yeah, it's like right now, I mean, I would tell you right about here it's starting to happen because your hand's going through the fire,
and then just very slow.
That's right.
That's
right. Same thing with the gas tank, you know, with the fingers coming back. We're doing that same kind of thing. Yeah, it should be longer. That'll help with the spikes too. They won't feel like they're popping off.
Okay.
Very good.
And the last one in here.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
All right, I'll get his footsteps getting off this motorcycle.
Alrighty.
Here we go. All right. Here we go. There's some leather going with us. Okay. Alrighty.
What'd you think?
Good.
I think they'll like it.
Right. So right now what we're going to do is, this is just for this one particular cue, so that was Johnny Blaze's footsteps, and now I'm just going to do his leather coat action. And all these sounds that you're hearing right now, when they shoot the production tracks, some of them are in there and some aren't, but this pumps it up for all the movies and makes it more dynamic and brings it to life. Alrighty. And then let's just, do you have a channel to stick it in the holster, Bri?
I'll pull it out of him. Oh, just stick it in the holster?
Stick it in his holster. Now what this device is a whoosh stick. I use it for a whoosh sound. And this particular thing that I'm taping to the stick makes it piercing and razory. All right.
That was very nice, Gary. That was beautiful.
No, I thought it was in keeping with it. I mean, I looked at it. I felt it was in keeping with the orange you've got established. That's what I was going by. But we can always tone it down if you feel it's too strong.
Okay, and just backing up, when he's chasing Abigor up the wall,
Uh-huh.
is there any way we could highlight Abigor a little bit? It's always been very dark. I want to make sure we see him.
On top of the building?
On his way up the building.
Oh, okay.
He's chasing him down that dead end, and Abigor goes straight up. You think we can see that okay?
I didn't even know he was doing that, so that's a good thing to mention. Let's go back.
Good, and then whatever we can do to help the helicopter stuff. You know?
Yeah, there are a few color issues as we were going. This is the first time.
Yes.
Response
I haven't
has
seen
a
the
chance to see it.
timing on this yet.
How are you feeling generally?
Generally very good.
Yeah.
I didn't even see him do it.
Oh, wow.
So I think we'll be able to see that a little better. Let's.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah. What a difference. Oh, no, that's great.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
There's a lot of stuff in this scene. It is fairly bright, actually.
This one seemed a little bright too, overall.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to bring it down?
Just because I remember.
Okay.
I brought it up so you could see the sky and the stars up here, but
it's brought everything up.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, because it doesn't match the next shot. The sky.
She didn't have to come down. So it seems
Well, what bothers me is her white shirt, for one thing, actually. So, I mean, maybe you can bring that down a little bit and leave her.
Her shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
And the dress she's holding up too.
Okay. Now,
just takes my eye from her a little bit.
Let's see here. Okay, so.
And you obviously don't want to lose that either.
Good, you'll leave it on that.
I don't know. Let's see.
So we're not going to get to the crossroads.
Let's just try keying into that. Let's see. So I hesitate taking it down too much. So
That's how.
Affected.
That certainly helps.
It's not touching her.
Yeah.
Steve, you going to keep going or do you want to back up?
Oh.
I'm good throughout most of all of this. I just want to.
Sure, whatever you'd like to do.
Just focus on the helicopter before I go here.
Okay.
I got to split in a minute. I just want to watch that sequence again.
All right. Let me render that one out then.
Okay, thank you.
Does it look CG?
It does. I mean, it's not terrible, but it does. And I just don't know if we want to knock it down or diffuse it more.
I don't diffusing's not going to help it. It's just going to make it look soft and really out of place with this.
What do you think that's, Steve?
How
does it look to your eye?
I think it's, I mean, you know, I'm so used to what CG looks like. I of course recognize it as that, but it's not bad. I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I think the color is pretty darn believable. In fact, really, any reservation I have has nothing to do with the helicopter itself. It's the lighting flare is just a bit soft and nondescript. I don't think that's. I think that's where my eye goes, and I don't think that's terrible either. It's
No, I
just.
don't either.
You'll take a look at that rear fender for me.
And what would you like me to do with it?
Did you see the color of it? How it looks oddly pearl?
Yeah, it looks like it's white.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be metallic, right?
Yeah, it should be the same color as his tank. See how blue his tank is?
Okay, so taking out the magenta kind of
Please.
coloration. Okay, good. No problem.
I have to go to Seattle.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since you've been there.
I know, and it's such a great town. Gents, till next time.
Hi, Mark. We'll see you soon.
I'll see you Monday.
Yes, see you Monday.
Have a good
Steve,
trip.
Thank you. Bob?
Yeah, actually, I want to see you.
You're not going to see me, I know.
No,
Thank you so much for doing this.
Pleasure.
So glad you could make it.
Oh, me too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
He wants to.
Johnny?
Roxanne? You don't work for my father anymore. You work for me. Get the contract from the caretaker. Bring it to me in San Venganza. And maybe I'll spare your girl's life.
Made that work, didn't they? It's always been borderline, that whole sequence.
Yeah.
For the first time, it finally worked.
Yeah, it's just
good. It's awesome, you guys.
Wallow's retransformation back though, I think, is going to be something. You know, when it goes, when
Yeah.
that little shock move.
It's great though, you guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's not as big as the last reel, but they're all big. You just watch them, every reel is just huge. It's great. So my first note is back in the. What's that? I got nothing for you. You're fine. It's all
questions
music.
for you.
Okay. Inside of Johnny's loft, when Roxanne shows up and she's looking for him, there's in the distance we need to hear police sirens throughout. They're looking for Johnny all night.
Yeah, there's one there, which
gotcha.
sounds great.
They need to be continuous.
Yeah, got more.
Yeah, I heard he got arrested. I heard he's in trouble. I mean, we need to hear that they're searching for him the whole time. There was a noise. I think it was the sound of actually caretaker holding the watch. But it was
when
too,
we're over his
no,
shoulder.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
I'd rather just be music and crickets there.
I also had the thing I had there is that I don't know if the crickets are loud enough to hear them stop.
They're not.
They're
They
not.
need to be louder.
I agree. Yeah.
Just cheese it up.
Yeah.
Seems like they can end just a beat sooner too, so that they stop.
Yeah, we've got to be aware that there's something happened.
Yeah, we can establish that with much louder crickets
Yeah.
and then hear them go away because it's way too subtle now.
Yeah, I agree. Space between chuckle and not even close. Oh, that I like that we put in there for Wes for the chuckle and the not even close, but
They're on top of each other.
They're on top of each
Yeah.
other. And because Mac is right in front of them, we can have the line come later. It's okay. Sure. Let's keep the chuckle where it is and have the not even close be later, please. Let's Ride. Can we use our production Let's Ride? I have more of a smile to it than this ADR line. This felt like an ADR line to me. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. Is it the ADR?
It is, yes.
I have this problem always when Nick runs into that loft. It's not it doesn't feel urgent, and his footsteps are so light. It always sounds like tip, 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 tip. So can I just get some big clopping motorcycle boots on the wood floor? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
If you want to give us a call at 10:30 and check in, that's great too, or we can do that with you. All righty?
All right.
Thanks so much.
Guys. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
The basic idea of the whole main title sequence is it's a ride, and it's something that the director felt the movie needed in the beginning, so that it sets up and it promises that this whole film is going to be a ride. We worked also on custom-made typeface for the logo, although that changed because they wanted to match the marketing logo.
That's kind of the theme we were going with too, is sort of having this Western ride. It was like a ride at nighttime through the desert. And I think that logo kind of conveys that idea of sort of like the Western 70s feel, you know, the whole Harley Davidson, that kind of lifestyle, you know?
But this is what we presented first time, just to get the job. That changed. You'll see what it changed to. But at least it kind of gave the sort of attitude we wanted to give the piece and also the main title. This is our first test.
Hey.
It's very short. Something like this.
We're just looking through the camera right here. This is through the camera, and this is the actual perspective of what it looks like. It just looks like a giant cylinder. And then you can zoom in. And then So this is the path at which the camera's going. There you go.
This is an early test where, you know, there's no color. It's just a rough animatic style. Get the camera, get a first feeling on how it's gonna look. You know, I built this all at, you know, a third of the resolution what it'll be at the end of delivery. So pretty much the last couple days we just have to worry about bringing it all in film quality at 2K. Yeah, well, we have a small render farm here which helps us to do like quick turnarounds, but for the final render, you know, we outsource it to a big place because they can turn around within one night all our renders.
We had an idea that was actually from a separate board where the you know, the type kind of like it was burned and then it sort of turned to ash. So we've taken that idea and now the titles at the end of the film are going to be like that. They're going to kind of look like they're kind of smoldering and then turning to ash and sort of falling away. We're just starting to work on this. We've done a couple tests. This one was kind of more of a 3D approach. This was kind of another idea where it's, you know, kind of smaller particles coming off of the type. There's another version of a test. It's a little more the color that we're going to be going for.